Hi there and welcome back. For those of you who are joining first time, I am Hasib Thanki, the founder of presentation series called Intro to Individual Life Underwriting. Let's review elevated liver function test LFTs today. I am not going to go into the details about the anatomy and physiology, but do feel the need to mention a couple of things. So with that being said, let me start with the liver. As we know, liver is the dark reddish brown in color, normally weighs about 3.1 pound and the largest glandular organ in the human body and is in the right upper quadrant of the abdomen. Liver functions, without going into the details, just a quick reference to correlate the real subject, and that would be the lipid and protein metabolism, glycogen storage, detoxification, storage of vitamins and minerals, and last but not least the bile manufacture and secretion. Okay, so just make a note of what liver functions are. Now in the typical underwriting you will see the typical liver function test on any lab, no matter from where it comes, either through the routine requirement or you will notice in the medical records, are ALP, alkaphos, GGTP or GGT is now known, or AST or SGOT, ALT or SGPT, and bilirubin. This is the most controversial and the most debated and frequently encountered question, challenge by our field partners when you end up approving any case other than is applied for because of elevated liver enzymes. And why is that? Because we will get into those details one by one when we look at the different liver function tests and how it works. But bottom line, let's take an analogy of in underwriting, you respect the law of large numbers. You don't have the freedom like a doctor to say that, okay, come and see us after 6 months or after 3 months or we'll see you after a year. You don't have that flexibility. You are just like taking a picture. As opposed to that, in clinical practice, the doctors can take the entire video. So that flexibility that we normally see in the clinical practice is not something the home office underwriters like you can have while reviewing the life applications. You have to move on with what you have in front of you, and you have to respect your company's claims, mortality statistics, what actuarials are telling to you, the life underwriting manual that company expects you to follow, plus the company specifics. So that is what it boils down to. So anyway, let's take a quick look at it, because what happens is this, that the elevations could be because of fatty liver, because of cirrhosis of the liver, because of alcohol issues, because of over-the-counter medications, because of hepatitis. You never know. You never know. And you may not have every time the full convincing medical records. That's the issue, or that's the challenge you will face in real world. So let's take a quick look at AST and ALT, these two together, and they could be elevated not, as we know, not because of the death or damage of liver cells, but it could be elevated due to the overweight, heart disease, kidney, blood cell, or skeletal issues. So the elevations could be for lots of other reasons. So how can you say for sure that these elevations are because of the liver disease? Okay. Another challenge you will have about these two liver enzymes, that there is no correlation. So the degree of elevation is often poorly correlated with the degree of liver disease. even if there is a liver disease, there is no correlation, or there is a poor correlation when it boils down to the amount of elevation. So that is another challenge or the issue you will have. But suffice to say, as far as these two liver enzymes are concerned, ALT relatively specific for hepatic dysfunction compared to AST. Just make a note of that. Let's talk about GGT or GGTP. Again, unfortunately, poor specificity due to its presence in heart, brain, pancreas, kidney, spleen. So again, you cannot say for sure what is causing the elevation. That's the challenge, that's the issue here. Now, GGT is to be read in conjunction with ALP to distinguish between whether it is the origin from the bone or the origin from the liver. The GGT will another aspect, and we'll touch base with that when we look at the ALP. Another aspect about the GGT that you may want to make a note of it is the fact that it will increase with the age and BMI. Okay, so just make a note of it. Likewise, whether for insurance purpose to correlate with the issues or concerns as it relates to alcohol abuse, and or even in the clinical practice to correlate with the history of alcoholism, GGT or GGTP is the one that has been looked upon. So something to keep in mind. I was just talking about the ALP that we will review. ALP, alka-phos, 80% of the elevations are related to the liver or bone. 80%. Now, the elevations could be common in a pregnant woman. The elevations could happen due to the certain medications. And as I was saying about the GGT, you need to look at the GGT and ALP. When you see the elevations of ALP, and if GGT is normal, more than likely the elevated ALP is due to the bone disease, most likely. And likewise, if GGT or GGTP is abnormal, most likely you are dealing with a liver disease. So make a note of it. Let's move on. The another aspect or the liver enzyme is the bilirubin. When we are dealing with bilirubin, we need to know that bilirubin is produced when red blood cells deteriorate. Commonly or frequently encountered scenarios you will see throughout your career are Gilbert syndrome, hemolysis, okay, and in majority of the cases, most of the time the isolated elevations can be ignored as long as the other LFTs are normal. So that's what we are talking about, the bilirubin. Now, familiarize yourself with a couple of things while reading these elevated LFTs. One is hemolysis, and as you know that hemolysis is the destruction of red blood cells before their normal lifespan is up. That's the hemolysis. And lipemia is when the insured did not fast adequately, and that can falsely elevate the LFTs. So lots of ifs and buts that can happen while dealing with elevated LFTs. So for example, there are data to support the theory that watch out for the meds used in the last 3 months. There could be a history of blood transfusion, there could be alcohol intake, even the family history, as well as even the country of birth plays a role in contributing to the elevated LFTs. So multiple aspects, multiple variables, many factors to look into. So long story short, follow the underwriting manual that your company expects you to follow. Likewise, follow the company specifics to make some adjustments to the debits or any favorable factors, credits to arrive at the final rating. But I would say that the take-home message is this, that APS is far more powerful tool than just a lab. Okay? Having said that, unfortunately, you just cannot ignore the elevations that you see on the most recent lab. That could, in majority of the case, it could be because of the routine age and amount requirement. So unfortunately, you cannot ignore that. Who knows, it could be a new onset or for 10 other reasons that we just reviewed. So you need to correlate that, and APS is more powerful than lab. Having said that, the most current routine lab cannot be ignored, and you need to correlate that and synchronize with your company specifics as well as the life underwriting manual that your company expects you to follow. With that being said, let's move on. We will start with tumors when we meet again. Take care.